Directed numbers are numbers with direction or with a sign, either a positive sign or a negative sign. 5 take away 3 is 2, 3 take away 5, it's tempting to call it minus 2 here, I should really call it negative 2. 9 take away 5, 4, 5 take away 9, negative 4. 8 take away 6, 2, 6 take away 8, negative 2. And 73 take away 54 is 19, so if I switch these two numbers round and do 54 take away 73, it's actually going to be negative 19. Now the reason people use minus rather than negative is when talking about the temperature, and negative temperatures feature a lot in the weather and become obvious when you have a temperature drop. If the temperature was 6 degrees during the day and it dropped by 9 degrees during the night, what would the new temperature become? Negative 3 degrees, although weathermen would call that minus 3 degrees. And that's because 6 take away 9 is negative 3. Similarly, 1 take away 4, also negative 3. 7 take away 9, negative 2. And 16 take away 28, let's just try that little trick again and do 28 take away 16 in our head first, and that would be 12. So 16 take away 28, because that is bigger than that, will give me negative 12. All numbers have a sign, but sometimes that sign is invisible. Those are the numbers 9, 7, 2, 4, 8, 1 and 3. They're all positive numbers, but I tend not to call them positive 7, positive 9 and so on. If I have 3 fingers up, I would just say the number of fingers I've got up is 3. I wouldn't say positive 3. The use of negative numbers and directed numbers in temperature features a lot. So negative 2 rising by 5. I think you can see there's the negative 2. If I go up by 5, I'm going to end up at 3 degrees. Good way of thinking about that, or an alternative way of thinking about it, is to put the plus 5 first and the take 2 second. If I do that, then 5 take 2 is 3. Obviously that's quite easy to work out. It's the same answer to the one above. All I've done is switch round the numbers. Temperature of negative 1 dropping by 2. Well, there's the starting temperature. If I go down by 2, you can see where I'm going to finish up. The answer is negative 3. If I now started off with a temperature of negative 2 and dropped by 3, where would I finish up? I think you can see that's going to be negative 5 or minus 5. You can see a little shortcut that I can do with the 2 and the 3 to help me come up with an answer of negative 5. Notice they're both negative and the answer is negative. It's like taking 2, coming back and taking 3 more. How many have I taken? Well, I've taken 5. Negative 5 take 3, negative 8. Notice again, if I put the 5 and 3 together, it comes up with 8. I'm taking them both. I must be taking 8. Negative 4 take 5. The answer is negative 9. Negative 2 take 8. The answer is negative 10. And negative 12 take 13. Again, put the 12 and 13 together in your head, make 25. You're taking them both away, you're taking 25. Notice 2 minuses here still end up as a minus. Now watch this pattern. 5 take 3, 2. 5 take 2, 3. 5 take 1, 4. 5 take 0, 5. Notice this number is getting smaller. The answer in red is getting bigger. When I get down to this number has got smaller still because negative 1 is smaller than 0. What could the answer be? Well, the answer's gone up 1 at a time as the question's gone down 1 at a time, so it's got to be 6. 5 take away negative 2, 7. 5 take away negative 3, 8. So what's going on, and are there any shortcuts? Well, yes, there are. And this is where the squashing rules come into effect. Because if I see two minuses, or a minus with a negative next to each other, I can actually gather them up, squash them together, and turn them into a plus. And we know that 5 plus 2 is 7. Two minuses next to each other, I can gather them together, squash them together, turn them into a positive. Now there are 4 rules, 4 different types of squashing rules. First one, two positives next to each other. Over here, I can squash them together and get a positive. 5 plus 3 is 8. Use of the brackets doesn't interfere with the squashing rules. I've still got two positives next to each other. Squash them together. The answer is 6. See what happens with a positive followed by a negative. 4 adding on to negative 2. The squashing rules apply, and I can squash the positive with the negative and come out with a single negative. 5 take 2, 3. Similarly, I can squash the positive with the negative to a single negative. 3 take 2, 1. Next one up, if it's 5 take away a positive number, remember that positive there is redundant. It doesn't need to be there, but sometimes people do put it in exam questions and textbooks. I've got a negative with a positive. I can squash them together and come out with a negative. Similarly, negative followed by a positive, squash them together for a negative. And to complete the pattern, I have two negatives next to each other, or a minus followed by a negative. I can squash those together to give me a positive, and the answer to 5 take away negative 3 is going to be 8. Similarly, 2 take away negative 3. I can squash the two minuses together, turns into a positive. Got to be 5. So, looking at a problem like that, I can see a minus followed by a negative, squash them together, turns into a positive or a plus, the answer must be 5. But, and it's a big but, if you see minus 4 take away 5, or negative 4 take away 5, two minuses are not next to each other, the squashing rules do not apply. This is taking 4, taking 5, the answer is taking 9.